I don't know if you're ready for this video, but if you found this video, chances are Spirit or the universe has asked you to listen. I'm going to try my very best to bring you this most requested video, Pluto through the houses in your natal chart. What does it mean? It's deep, it's raw, it's gritty, it's dark, and it's the shadow side of you. We will be talking about your trauma. And wherever you have Pluto in your chart, we can actually see your psychological and emotional subconscious trauma. We're going to walk through the different houses, and I'm going to try my very best to give you the deeper side of this. Pluto shows us our subconscious obsessions and fears, what needs to be transformed in us at the karmic level. I'm an evolutionary astrologer. I'm going to give you Pluto through the houses through an evolutionary astrology perspective. So in order to understand Pluto, we have to look at the dark side. We have to look at the shadow, your shadow, to understand Pluto's impact on our lives and what Pluto is actually asking us to transform in this lifetime. In my last video, we talked about the signs, and I hope you've watched our entire Pluto playlist. You can obsess about Pluto right here on our Soul Navigation channel. Today, we're going to go in a little bit more personally and more deeply, because when you know the house, you know what subject Pluto is trying to transform in your life. You can only know that if you know your birth time. I'm going to be talking about the psychological wounds that you came into this lifetime carrying, your baggage basically. No sugarcoating, none. It's very, very deep work. And I want you to know that my messages come with a great deal of love, compassion, and empathy for you. If you don't want to get depressed with me for the next hour, go watch my Venus playlist, because I am funny in those videos, and I'm raw and I'm real too. They are a great time. So just skip on over to Venus, people, if you don't want to do Pluto. Because this is TNT, dynamite. Yeah, Pluto work is serious work. It is deep work. We are going down to the bowels of your astrology chart. And for those of you who want to dive into the parts of you, the slices of you, the pieces of you that ache, that hold both the trauma and the power to transform, stick with me. This video is going to give you the opportunity for you to study the wounds of other people too. The people in your life that you love, that you just sometimes don't understand why they are the way they are. So I want you to look to see where you have Pluto and where your loved ones have Pluto by sign and by house. And that placement is going to show you where they have really deep emotional fears and where they are the most vulnerable in their life and how their trauma is creating their reality. And so this is an empathy building video. So Pluto is where you are both your weakest and your most powerful. It is the most powerful place in your chart, but it is also where you have been so stuck in fear, and therefore also weak. It's perplexing. It's complex work. We're going to start with Pluto in the first house. Pluto in the first house is a harder placement because it is so prominent and so loud and so dominant. And these are Plutonian people. I don't care if you are a Pisces. I don't care if you're a Cancer. If you have got Pluto in the first house and within 10 degrees of the ascendant, you are Plutonian. And you really need to study Scorpio, you need to study Mars, and you need to study Pluto. You are wearing, like these glasses, a Pluto lens, and you see the world through Plutonian eyes. If you don't know, it means you are probably extraordinarily intimidating to other people. You might not even know that about yourself, but I promise you, you are. Now, if you have Pluto in the 12th house, but it sits within 10 degrees of the ascendant, this is also describing you. You need to watch this video for Pluto in the first and also Pluto in the 12th. Mix the two up, and that is you. These people are going to try to have emotional control all the time at all costs. They wear a poker face, and they can be very hard to read, and they can oftentimes be very misunderstood as too cynical, too harsh, too stern, too cruel, too poker face, too intense, too dark, right? And when in truth, they have no idea that they are even revealing their intensity. They are just being themselves. I oftentimes find it very interesting that Pluto rising people, or people with Pluto in the first, have absolutely no idea that they scare other people. They actually don't know that. Yeah. They don't know that they, come across like the Black Panther, when inside sometimes they just feel like a bunny rabbit. And they also don't realize that their normal face, if they are just reading a book or just, ordering off a menu, it feels quite natural to them. But to other people, it can sometimes look like a furrowed brow or upset, or even their straight face can look like a frown. They can look depressed even when they're not actually feeling depressed. So let's talk about their psychological wound that they incarnated with. Now, this can come from your early childhood, years 0 to 12, where it was born, or it can actually come from a past life. These people are struggling with a lot of things, as we all are with our Pluto, but they are actually feeling trapped by their relationships. They have this strong need for independence, but they also very much want to be able to have a relationship, and they are stuck between both worlds. Their independence, their willful independence, doing life on my own terms, and also the need for others. These are usually extraordinarily strong people, and sometimes they even feel used by other people needing them. Sometimes they even marry a person who is in desperate need of them, knowing that without them, they won't survive. Try that on. And they can feel like others are impeding them, needing them so much that they are blocked from becoming who they were born to be, or blocked from what they want to do, or blocked from living out their own truth or their own destiny. They have a ferocious need to become whom they want to become. And oftentimes, the relationships that are in their life, it could be mother, father, child, partner, sibling, it doesn't matter, can actually thwart or make them feel like their mission, they usually have big missions in life, so their already impossible mission cannot be done because they need to tend to the garden of this relationship that needs them. They need their independence, but they also fear being totally alone. And this is a very painful conundrum for these people. And so for lifetimes before this lifetime, and maybe even in their early childhood, they were left alone, or they went at it totally alone, or they had to figure life out completely on their own with the support of maybe no one. They became warriors for a reason, and they had to probably battle through a lot of challenges, relying on either people that had less power than themselves, people who weren't as smart as them, people who they didn't trust to guide them or lead them. They were born to become leaders and masters of their own selves. However, they're so good at that it can feel really lonely. It's sort of like feeling like you were raised by your own self. These people have spent years, either in lifetimes or in childhood, being the lone wolf. And now in this lifetime, they don't want to be. The soul has entrenched itself into lifetimes of solitary existence, or this self-reliance that became kind of unbearable and lonely. But they also struggle because being in a true, authentic union with another requires compromising themselves, right? And they feel they have to either choose to compromise themselves to be in the relationship, or they can be in relationship with themselves and be true to themselves. But what they're here to learn and what they fear is, I don't get to be true to myself and also in relationship with you. So it's a matter of actually feeling like the death of their own identity, or completely selling myself out to be able to be with you and your agenda and your family and your issues and your challenges, right? But it is the death of me. They feel so stuck by this trap. Tell me if you are a first house Pluto, or if you have Pluto rising within 10 degrees of the ascendant, and if you can relate to this. And if so, what sign do you have Pluto in? Pluto in the first house can truly feel like they are choosing life or death. They can feel like they can choose the other person and the relationship or themselves. They don't always believe that they get to have both. And if they do get to have both, they don't know how to do both. That's the very thing they are learning to do. And these people don't trust easily. They have learned that trusting others is how you get burned. It's how you get betrayed, hurt, and wounded. And they can withdraw within themselves as a coping mechanism, just getting busy in their own lives, isolating, and ultimately just feeling so damn alone in this world. They will hide all their wounds from other people, just standing in their power and their strength, working on your wounds, not confessing their own. If you question them about their wounds, they can be very defensive. These are some of the most defensive people on the planet. I have 3 people in my life with this placement, and I can tell you, thinking about all 3 of these people, it melts my heart. My dad is one of them. He had Pluto smack on the ascendant. These souls experienced in their lifetime, tell me if you can relate to this, extreme circumstances, extreme. So if the world is on a scale of 1, not very extreme, and 10, totally extreme, these people were not living in the 5 zone. They were living in the 9 and the 10 zone, right? Like, 911 alert. It's like extreme sports, and they can experience themselves, or they can develop in themselves sort of having like a semi superpower, because they become extraordinarily strong to deal with extreme circumstances and situations. If you're a Pluto in the first house, did you have to deal with extreme, and that can be extremely volatile, extremely loud, extremely violating, just extreme emotions, extreme situations, extreme circumstances, other things like situations that other people couldn't even deal with. Can you relate to that? Now, in their shadow side, at their lowest, least evolved place inside of their soul in this lifetime, they can live in an absolute fear and paranoia about everything. I'm not joking. They can literally create a self-inflicted obsession, fear, and paranoia about everything. I hope that's not you, and I hope you're not at that level. And I hope if that was you, you have transformed that. Yet over time, these people have a chronic need and desire to heal and transform themselves and others. And they are the great healing agents in life. These people have most likely grappled with feeling like something about their life or something about themselves has become a failure. Even if it's not true, they probably have experienced betrayal, abandonment, death, loss, and other really, really heinous or horrible conditions in childhood, and maybe even the unspeakable things. And those traumas are pressed up against their face like this, like the pane of glass that they see out of. And it's as if the innocent childhood got tainted with darkness or just reality very early in life. The evolution of their soul lies in the need to learn how to partner with others without fears, without fear of losing control over their own mission, their own power, their own destiny, their own calling, their own independence. And this can be such a magnetic placement if they can manage their disappointments in this lifetime and in themselves. They have to manage, they have to come to terms with those disappointments can turn into the silver lining. They can turn into blessings. They can actually transform. They are so powerful, and if they use their power wisely and correctly, and they don't abuse others or abuse themselves, or they're not too dominating, they can be an incredible influence and even a magnetic inspiration over others, helping others heal. And getting what they're good at is getting deep into the crux and the truth of the problems, empowering other people like nobody else can. I want to also say there is a psychic quality to these people. These people can intuitively see right away the deeper truths in life. They can see through to the core. They have X-ray vision. Now, I'm also going to say these people like to discuss the uncomfortable parts of life. It can be really unnerving to other people, and they don't mind shocking people. Actually, they think it's kind of fun. They really do. They actually think that throwing zingers out there is a good time. And they kind of like having that shocking power over other people. And they learned at a really young age that their curious questions or statements or psychic observations or intuition, if you will, was jarring to other people. And so they got to test their power or see this powerful insight at play with others. And hopefully they learned how to, wield their power like a sword more gingerly. But I'm sure at first they were kind of clumsy with this level of insight. Tell me if this is you and if you can relate, because we all benefit from hearing your truths. These people have such a magnetism about them that they can really be quite crafty manipulators in life. But it's all power, magnetism, magic, manipulation. It's just a psychological power that they have. There's sort of a self-contained sexy power with Pluto in the first house. And they can kind of have an easy authority over others. They just have a commanding presence. Is this you? Do you have this? I will say that most of these people are dealing with a melancholy ache inside of them, that they are always sort of quietly wrestling, like a wrestler trying to pin their ache to the mat and contain their ache and put their ache over there, hoping nobody sees it and hoping that ache, that melancholy, that agony that's deep inside of them won't bubble up and start revealing itself to others. They don't like to leak their power. I would say these people are in touch with the truths in life. They're like the detective. They're always trying to crack the code or solve the case, penetrate the BS or the facade that you're wearing. And I would say these people are the unpaid psychologists in your life. What is most interesting about them is their very first client is themselves. These people can feel colder rather than warmer, and they can feel rather aloof rather than sweet. They can feel stronger than they feel soft. I will say at the end of the day, one thing that is for sure is they will save you if they love you. Yes. They will die for you if you live in their heart. I would say another very important piece to their karmic evolutionary lessons in this lifetime is to face their fears head on, right? To face their wounds, to get honest and so vulnerably truthful about those very wounds, and then find another person who they can be in a trusting relationship with and reveal those insights and explore those wounds and share those insights with another person. This starts their healing process. And while Pluto in the first house, you may want to or may prefer to do your deep psychological work alone or just work on other people, unfortunately, doing this work alone, yet again, won't help you transform your trauma. You need partnership. Okay, Pluto in the second. With Pluto in the second, we need to think about our value as a human being, our resources, and learning to become truly and totally and absolutely self-sufficient, building meaning and value out of our lives. Now, with Pluto in the second house, we doubt ourselves. We doubt our ability. We doubt our value. We doubt that the contributions that we can make to society or to ourselves even matter at all. So this is the house of resources. A lot of people say this is the house of money, but in truth, our resource is our ability, our capability. These people come into this lifetime with deep insecurities about themselves. Pluto in the second house, your karmic lesson is to come to understand truthfully, to see it emblazoned and empowered in the world that your contributions to self, to life, to your family, to loved ones, to the world is absolutely precious. Pluto in the second house, do you believe that? Do you believe that your knowledge, that your ability, that your skills, that your resourcefulness, your resources, and your resources, they're not just your money, although they might be your money, but your resources are the things that you contribute to life. Are they precious, or are you in doubt of that? Because Pluto in the second house has deep, deep well of a wound of self-doubt. And they literally probably lived in agony from 0 to 12 saying, I don't even know what I can do. I don't know what my gifts are. I don't know what my talent is. I don't know what I could contribute. They are here learning that their contributions make a difference. Can you relate to this? Let's go into it a little bit deeper. You are probably going to experience a deep loss of something that was absolutely critical to you. This could be a resource of some sort. It could be your ability to walk. It could be your money. You could be bankrupt. Your mind. You could have a mental or an emotional breakdown. It could be the loss of your home. There is usually a very karmic loss. So Pluto in the second house, I want to ask you, what have you lost? It's probably something very dramatic and very traumatic, this thing that you lost. But you lost this thing in order to transform. Let me show you how. In order to, out of survival, have to bet fully all your chips, everything you've got on you, what little is left inside of you. If it's money, it might be you're betting all $2 on you. If you lost your home, you're taking your backpack full of socks and underwear and your water bottle and you're rebuilding. And you are going to be a person who will karmically have to rebuild themselves from the ground up. I know from personal experience, this is a very, very painful and even torturous place for Pluto, because it leaves you with a feeling of having nothing, no thing at all, only to realize that you have to excavate inside of yourself and find the resources, the tenacity and the ferocity to put your pieces back into place, one tiny little pixie stick at a time, until you build your skyscraper again. I want to also say these people come with big control issues. And the reason why is because they are afraid, and they live in a fear of experiencing that loss again, which, by the way, they probably will. I mean, you could lose over and over and over again in order to gain a different amalgamation of resources, right? So you lose your money to find your wealth and courage, right? Or you lose your home or your material, whatever you're attached to materially, to find the jackpot in your faith or spirituality, okay? So you lose one thing in order to gain this other thing that you didn't even know you had inside of you, you could build, you could grow, or that you needed. This is a person who in their lifetimes, okay, previous lifetimes, probably incarnated into a lifetime where they had resources and they were the provider, and they clung on very tightly to this money or to this food back when we were all farmers. These people have an obsessive compulsive fear that their basic survival needs will not be met. They have a bit of a compulsion around being poor or going without, or not being able to make ends meet or protect or take care of themselves or others. That is their fear, and that is their driver. They sort of can chase money or chase whatever it is that makes them secure. Maybe it's even a partner who has more money than them. Maybe it's a certain kind of home that they want. Maybe it's a certain kind of car. Maybe it is food. Maybe it is even an education, especially if you have Jupiter there. It depends what other planets you have there. They can constantly, obsessively chase these things that they think will bring them security, right? Obsessively so. This can also be a little bit of a control freak house, if you will, with Pluto here. They always want to control the circumstances so they can assure their own security. Because they live with this ultimate fear of not being able to provide for themselves, only to probably lose everything to come to understand that they in fact can provide for themselves. That's their whole karmic lesson. They have lived with an instinctual awareness, like a high instinct around how fragile life is and how fragile our circumstances are. I mean, they understand what not having enough feels like. So they sort of live with a worst case scenario fear around security and feeling unsafe. And then they build their lives to protect against those worst case scenarios playing out, to protect against the threats. These people usually experience a great deal of betrayal. They could have been betrayed emotionally, sexually, or even financially. And so they're very cautious and they don't trust easily when it comes to trusting you with my money, trusting you with my body, or even trusting you with my things. There is so much caution with these people. I'll tell you that those betrayals that they experienced eroded their self-esteem so badly that they, remember this is a Venus house, they oftentimes questioned themselves, like, why did this loss of something that I valued, this loss of this thing that kept me safe, loss of money, loss of a parent, loss of a home, loss of maybe even a pet, loss of an education opportunity, loss of a visa, allowed me to go work in a better country. Why was I so bad? And what did I do that was so bad that I'm being punished by this loss? And so this shame around self can penetrate them and start to erode their own belief in themselves. Now, if you can push through, what you're supposed to do to transform is heal that particular wound by picking up what you do have after the loss of something great, working with that, and growing your skills, growing your deep resources that live inside of you, pouring yourself back into yourself, right? Believing in yourself by tackling, building, rebuilding your security. And when you yourself rebuild your own security, not having your way paid for you, but you are building your own security based on your own talents, trade, craft, and merits. I can't begin to tell you how healing, how utterly healing this work is. I can almost cry because it is very, very deep. Second house Plutos, I'm telling you, there is no way out of your dilemma except through you, through your own self. You've got to utilize your gifts, your talents, your strengths, put them into the world until they can provide for you, you providing for you, you being self-reliant. Prove to yourself. This is a placement where Pluto is asking you to prove it to yourself, prove it to the world that you've got it, you can do it. It's all on you. You are self-sustaining. These people really struggle with marrying somebody who has a great deal of wealth because the wealthiest person in the relationship gets the biggest vote and voice and power. So the Pluto in the second person think. And so Pluto in the second house person thinks, right? And they don't want to give their power away. They know down deep inside, they have to prove to themselves that they can make it on their own before they merge with another. And so these people, if they have sold out to a person who dominates them with wealth or resources way more than they have, and if there's a big discrepancy, that also erodes their self-esteem because they will feel deep inside that they can never be good enough. They can never truly be an equal. And Pluto in the second house people actually think like this. And so a lot of times they will be revulsed by having a partner that has so many more resources than them because it keeps them entrapped and sort of stuck in a subordinate position over the will of the person or the authority in their life that has so much more than them. Pluto in the second house, I'm not saying I'm sure there are people with Pluto in the second house that have happily married somebody who had more resources than them, but they have probably done something with their own resources, their own skills, their own crafts in the world, and have built enough self-esteem to be able to handle the discrepancy. But this is a challenge for Pluto in the second people. Pluto in the second house people have to overcome overcome their losses. They have to overcome their own limitations that the world or their parents or their partner or themselves have placed on them. They sort of have to bet it all on them. I have this placement and I quit my corporate job, my fancy corporate job, to hang out my shingle to become an astrologer. And I really struggled. I basically lost everything. It's this exact mission. I lost everything, all my security, all my money, my home, all of it, to do my passion, to bet on me, and to eventually win. Pluto in the second house, people have to bet on themselves to even have a chance at winning. That corporate job that I did, yeah, I had sold my soul to the devil for golden handcuffs that left me feeling sad, alone, and vacant every single night that I worked that job. There's a little bit of an esoteric quality to Pluto, but I hope so much that you are understanding this. Self-reliance, self-sustaining security is what this placement is about. And you can't gain self-confidence if you don't do it yourself. There's so much more I could say. I mean, I could talk to you guys for probably an hour on each one of these houses. Let's keep going. I'm going to see as far as I can get with these houses. Just stick with me, and I want you to learn about Pluto in every house, even if this isn't your position. Because when you meet somebody and you see where their Pluto is in their chart, you can help them. You can help them just by understanding what their deep obsessions and wounds and fears are. You can help them heal. You can help empower them. It's so beautiful. Okay, let's go to the third house. Okay, Pluto in the third house, I want to ask you, who stole your voice from you? You either had it stolen before you got here and you incarnated into not having a voice, or withholding or withdrawing or not using it. The third house is about communication. It is literally about using your voice and your mind. It's your thoughts, it's your communication, and it's your ability to absorb information, to learn information, and to listen. Let's think of this as the house of communication. Wherever Pluto is in your chart, it shows us what we fear and it shows us what we lack. There's always an irony with Pluto. There's this deep desire to speak your mind, speak your thoughts, but probably 0 to 12, you may have gotten punished for your thoughts. You may have been in a family that was too busy to hear your thoughts. You may have been eclipsed by a more dominant sibling or parent. For some reason, your voice, your thoughts got lodged within you. It is absolutely imperative to transform this because remember what I said about Pluto. This is also the most powerful part of you, and that's your voice. But for some reason, it's scary, it's frightening to use it. Now tell me, why is it frightening to speak up if you are a Pluto in the third house person? And what sign do you have your Pluto in? There is a lack of confidence in either what you think or in expressing what you think. You have got to push through this. Somehow your voice, and again, it might not be the fault of your parents. It might not even be the circumstances in this lifetime. Now, it might be. As an evolutionary astrologer, I believe that we come into our lifetime with our Pluto baggage, with our South Node baggage as well. And Pluto and the South Node, they dance together. They tell the story together. Your voice might have gotten silenced from a previous lifetime. And now that way of being just operates as a memory. But there is a vast, enormous, powerful desire in you to learn everything and to be knowledgeable and to be smart. And with all of that desire, it breaks my heart and it makes me sad to think that you would keep it all inside. And your karmic lesson is to open up that mouth of yours and use your voice and speak out the truths and the knowledge that you have learned in this lifetime. These people, Pluto in the third house, are also deep psychologists. They love studying the deep inner workings, the criminal's mind, right? The detective, the decoding, the deep internal infrastructure that lives inside of people, sort of the Freuds and the Jungs. These are the people that have like powerful curiosity, where they want to explore the deep and profound inner world. Now, your karmic wounds can be healed when you take that internal world and you find a friend, or you find a relationship, or you find a person or a venue or a platform to speak those deep findings, those deep psychological findings and truths, those perceptive truths about life, about the world, about yourself, about others. When you share that knowledge with others, with the world at large, that's when you heal. But you have to face yourself, right? And you have to overcome the desire to silence yourself in order to be safe. So you have to risk it all with your voice. Now, sometimes what has happened with these people is their voice is kind of a double-edged sword. They are so penetratingly insightful and so smart and so psychic and so intuitive, and they understand, they have a wisdom. They're born with kind of a penetrating, insightful wisdom because they can see the deeper truths very easily, kind of like a Pluto first house. And then they can speak those truths. And before they have an artful way of communicating, before they can use lovely transitional sentences that help blunt the blow of the gory truth they're about to say, right? And so their words can actually annihilate or hurt other people. And then the ramification or the fallout over that can shut them up or put a gag order on them forever. So don't let your previous mistakes, maybe before you learn the art of communication, block you, trap you, or shut you down and keep you just internalized for your whole life long, because you're here to learn how to express yourself. If the third house Pluto person cannot, as Stephen Forrest says, tell their story, it's just devastating to their soul. And these are usually really good writers. So if you can't speak it, at least write it. Write it in music, write it in poetry, write it in a story. Put yourself out there through communicating you to the world. You might need to find intimate and deep friendships where you can trust that a person will find the sacredness inside your story and not exploit you, but really value your story. I want you to know how powerful you are with words. This is the power planet. This is in the house of words, the mind, thinking, knowledge. You can be the magician with words. You will transform people once you learn the art of communication. You're going to make mistakes along the way, right? You're going to say things that are too truthful, too insightful, and maybe your audience isn't even ready for your insights or your truth. Sometimes it's a waiting game where you have to learn, as I said, the art of communication, like, it's not appropriate to say this truth right now. But there's such an urge inside of you sometimes to just vomit out what the truth is that you're not well received. So it is understanding the art of communication. And when you master the art, you can become the most powerful healing transformer using the written word. Now I'm going to tell you one last little tidbit. And again, I could talk about this placement for hours. Each one of these deserves at least an hour. You are going to be forced to change the way that you think. You probably are going to struggle with that. The way you learn, what you believe in, what you think, and how you communicate. I promise you're going to be forced to change it up. Mm-hmm. And there's going to be a catalyst in your life that will force you to see things differently, to adapt to a new point of view, and to have a new perception. And when you glean a new perception, your whole world will shift. It's like seeing the situation from the total other side, and the liberation that comes from getting unstuck from your own point of view. So learning how to adapt to other perspectives is going to be your lifesaver. That is literally going to be your life raft. Being able to change out your perspective and your perception and your point of view. This is no small thing, because if you think about it, all we're doing right now is Pluto in the third house. You're listening and I'm talking. This is the art of communication. And I hope so much that my words don't get misunderstood and lodged inside of you in a way that I did not intend, right? But words are fragile. Words are delicate. Words are powerful. They are the most powerful thing that you and I have. This is no small placement. Do not throw your voice away. Speak up, express yourself, tell your story, heal yourself. Do not silence yourself. You already spent lifetimes in silence, being invalidated for your beliefs, your perception, your point of view, your thoughts, your voice, your communication, for your truths. You are so deep into the truth of life, ferreting out the truths in life, and not everybody is ready to hear them. So learning how to lay those out, learning the art of all of that is what will heal you in this lifetime. Okay, Pluto in the fourth. This one is a little bit hard for me to talk about because it's just so deep and it can be so dark. First of all, I need to tell you that the fourth house is the deepest part of ourselves. It is the most private place within us. It does represent the home, but I want you to think of the home as also the deepest, most secret part of you. This is the moon's house, but with Pluto here, and it's a very emotional house, but it is private. It is the private psychological side of you. Pluto has probably given you a karmic contract where you have been wounded by your family, by your heritage, by your roots, those who shared your home with you. And you may be experiencing the brunt or the blowback of dysfunctional parents. Parents that maybe did not intend to be cruel, but didn't get the kind of love, or had a life of abandonment, loss, heartache, heartbreak, trauma, or torture that then passed down to you. This house and whatever planets you have here need deep bonds. Like family bonds, unconditional love. And with Pluto here, this person had those bonds, the people that raised them or that they lived with, or those early childhood bonds got tainted, fractured, broken, severed, and therefore deep wounds were etched into probably the child in you. Then those wounds, right? They get stuffed down into the private places in you. They harbor and they grow. And then you can re-attract them in your other relationships. Because this is an emotional house, because this is the house of the heart, this can be a very painful placement for Pluto. It's so painful, it's hard to honestly talk about it. Tell me if you have this placement, and tell me what sign you have Pluto in, and tell me if you can relate to this. I'll tell you, sometimes the wounds that were created by family or by those who betrayed you cut so deep that they make the person just want to become invisible and start to hide, feel unworthy of stepping out into any kind of public arena of any sort. Maybe they even feel they are not worthy to be inside relationship with other people. It's not true, but these wounds can be so brutal and they can cut so deeply that they can make the person live an internal life of hiding. These wounds are going to create a deep internal and probably constant, maybe even an obsessive, compulsive self-reflection and a going within. That's why there's a deep isolation usually with Pluto in the fourth house. They have to learn to trust the world again. They have to learn to trust relationships again. So the fourth house is the place where you have the greatest desire to merge and bond with somebody in such depth to share all of yourself with. It's the womb, if you will. So to live inside of another person. So as a fourth house Pluto, you probably trusted somebody so deeply with yourself. You probably at some point surrendered yourself in completion to another, only to have been betrayed, to have lost that. Remember, Pluto will show you what you'll lose in order to gain something different. And so what you gain out of that is this unbelievable perception about the truth of people, the truth of emotions, the truth of your emotional makeup, the truth of relationships, the truth of your family, the truth of your background, the truth of your heritage, uncovering the family secrets. This is sort of like the skeletons that live in the family closet, and you are discovering the truth of them. You will be the truth seer, the truth seeker. You will probably shine the light on the dysfunction of your family when you step into the healing part of these wounds. And I hope you do. The only way through the healing of the family wound, right, is to push through it to the other side and to realize that you didn't deserve it. You didn't do anything wrong. As an innocent child, right? You were a victim to probably people that had damaged lives themselves, perhaps did not know any better, perhaps parented you or had a relationship with you through their own insecurities and their own broken bits, and they transferred it onto you. It's not because your soul deserved it or you deserved it or you even caused it necessarily, at least not as a young child. Now, I will say, when you go out into the world and you can repeat those patterns, yes, then you have more wisdom, and those are, probably free will choices to stop the trauma. I believe people with Pluto in the fourth house can be the family healer. They can be the person who heals the trauma from all of the past life wounding that has trickled down to them. And they can be the triage, where you're the last stop of the abusive train station and it no longer goes forward. Now, here's how you do this. You are a soul that when you were born, you truly experienced believing in. Okay, you experienced believing in unconditional love. When you realized that there were conditions placed on love, and when you realized that love could also betray, the devastation in that made you close up and made you go invisible and sort of put an iron or a cement wall up around you, right? And you locked yourself within your own self. Now, the way to heal that karmic wound is to go into therapy, probably deep psychological self-exploration, really understand why those things occurred, stand in the forgiveness, and build relationships, trust again, to build relationships in which you are allowed to nurture another and you allow yourself to trust again in order to be nurtured as well. And so having something to love again after being betrayed, as scary as that is, remember, you have to put all your chips in to survive your Pluto. And Pluto is painful. It is hard. You have to risk relationship again. And I know you don't want to do that, because it hurts so badly. You don't want to set yourself up for another wound. Well, now you are discerning. Now you are perceptive. Now you are more realistic. Now you have intelligence and wisdom and lessons, right, to help you choose love more wisely. If you don't do this and you just lock yourself into your, imprisoned tower, if you will, it's almost as if you'll live in a homeless state, because home is in here. It's your heart, right? Without allowing another person in, because the fourth house craves intimacy, craves, I'll show you if you show me, creates reciprocal love, right? And if you don't take a chance on that again, it's as if you live in this state of alienation, which to you will feel like living a life without a home, living a life without love. Fourth house Plutos really suffered. They suffered greatly from early childhood wounds around a broken family or hardships within the family. These wounds might not have been evil intentions done unto you. This could just be you grew up poor without resources. You had to do horrible things that a child maybe shouldn't have to do to survive your world. But there is deep insecurity around really feeling loved by their family or by feeling loved with whomever they lived with. You have to take a chance on love again and again, and don't give up. You have to go deep within yourself, really study those wounds, practice the art of forgiveness, practice the art of opening up again, being very discerning around who you trust, nurture something. I would say take baby steps in finding something, an animal, a garden, a child, a friend to nurture, to develop your trust again in the process, in the reciprocity of love. Love is the great healing agent for Pluto fourth house people. Yes, I know you'll need your privacy, but not living in a chronic, obsessive, compulsive, private world, right? And forcing yourself to go out of your shell, if you will, like the Cancer crab, out of the familiar, out of your comfort zone, which probably has you imprisoned. Take chances, take a risk, and go to the 10th house, which is your place in the community, and try again. Be willing to be seen. Be willing to talk about, to share your heart, your sufferings, your pleasures, and your love with another soul. You are probably going to be a person that is so phenomenal with helping other people heal their wounds, because this is a natural placement. Pluto in the fourth house is a natural placement for psychology and for therapy and for even the alternative healing arts. And so you are a great nurse, a great doctor, a great healer of the heart and the soul. You'd probably be able to handle being a 911 dispatcher or even working a suicide hotline. But helping others sort out their trauma is another way that you can heal your own wounds too. Nurturing another person, even in a platonic situation, helps you validate yourself. It helps you cultivate forgiveness for your experiences around the original wound. So helping others through their trauma, and I'm not saying you have to be the fix-it guy, I'm just saying in a natural way that feels good for you, maybe in a job or with somebody that you really care about, but not creating codependency or anything like that. Or even taking care of a wounded animal, if you will. Nurturing something again is the way out, basically. And a lot of people can do that through studying psychology. And if this is your placement, I'm sending you a big, big, fat hug. I hope you guys are liking my Pluto series. I'm going to have to do this in chapters because it's too deep. And please forgive me if I didn't get to your house in this video because it's just too deep. I mean, Pluto, you cannot talk about and do it any justice by being real, fast and quick with it. And if you guys do really love astrology and you want to learn astrology, I cannot stress enough, come take my master classes. I've got a couple of them on my website. You can find them in the notes section below, and come learn astrology with me. And also, I have a little bit more than 56,000 subscribers. If you all ask one friend to subscribe to our channel, we will get to our goal of 100,000 subscribers, and I would love that. I also want to say I'm throwing an astrology party for all my members. So if you have joined, get your ticket. You can find it on my shop tab at soulnavigation.com. And if you're not a member yet, come learn astrology with me and you'll get all my behind the scenes videos. I just absolutely love sharing my knowledge with you. I love sharing astrology with you. I love doing readings for you. I just absolutely love this community of people. Please, would you please tell me your Pluto story? I would love that because we all learn when you share yourself with us. We all learn. I want to say one last thing about Pluto in the fourth house. I think Pluto in the fourth house, while it is one of the very hardest placements for Pluto, I think that these people are some of the most powerful people on the planet. Why? Because they are here to transform love. The tool in which they can transform is through that powerful vessel of love. Now, think about this for a minute, okay? What else do we have but love? if we look at the highest form of ourselves, the very best version of ourselves, we will most likely come from a place of love. And that is what is so powerful and Plutonian in these people. And these people have unconditional love. It got seared out of them. It got broken. It got obliterated, only to grow back again, better, stronger, and bigger, and to put it out into the world in a bigger way, and not to be miserly or selfish or stingy or hidden with their love, but you are here to be a vessel of transformative love. So I want you guys to think of whatever house Pluto is in, that subject matter for the fourth house. It is this deep, unconditional love, like a mother's love for a child. It is the womb. It is the safest place. The safest place became unsafe for the fourth house Pluto, right? Only to then become safe again. Whatever house your Pluto is in, that will be the subject. That is the tool, if you will, that will be both destroyed and rebuilt and utilized in a higher fashion to grow you, to evolve you, and in truth, to save you. It's actually really powerful. It's very, very deep. It's painful because the very thing that you're afraid of is the very thing you most need. And it's scary. I mean, to do Pluto right, you have to be one thing and one thing only: brave. Are you brave? Oh, I don't know. On some days, yes, and on other days, no, right? Because we're humans. And if you're not feeling brave, that's okay too, because you'll have more time. You'll get plenty more Pluto opportunities to make you brave. And where are you on your journey? When you leave me a comment, I love it when you tell me your age. Why? Not because I'm an ageist, is that what it's called? It's because I can know astrologically where you're at in your journey. I can know if your Saturn is returning. I can know, right? I can know if you've had some progressions. I can know if you've got Saturn squaring your Saturn just by your age. So leave me your age, leave me your Pluto story, and forgive me that I could only get through the first 4 houses. I will keep going, I promise, but I want you to bring the charts of all your loved ones so you can know where their wounds, where their secret wounds live. And so you can start to speak to those wounds with compassion, love, empathy, and help them nurture them and help empower others. That's what I love about astrology. And I hope that my video makes you feel like you're okay and you can do this. You are meant for this work and you will survive this. Just be brave. Be brave. Okay, from my home here in Seattle to wherever you are at in the world, thank you for being here. Thank you for being a subscriber and hopefully a member. Come join my channel. And until next week, I do videos every Sunday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. Check out all the information in my notes section and I will see you next Sunday. Take good care. Bye for now.